Welcome back to another episode with Wellness with Mo. Hi, my name is Mo, and this week's episode we have an amazing coach. Her name is Ines Albert, and she's a coach that really helps organizations and teams to basically, from my understanding, is to understand each other better and to minimize uh, difficulties between individuals. So, hi Ines, how are you?
I'm fine, and thanks for having me, Mo. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for the introduction.
Yeah. Could you? I mean, of course, my introduction is really small and poor, but could you? Share with us your story and how things are going.
Sure. Yeah, my story. I have worked for almost 3 decades in corporate, and anybody that has worked in corporate knows what that means. What are the things that you're dealing with, and on an interpersonal level. And there's one thing that I kind of learned about 15 years ago. I had that kind of a realization that everything depends on how people work together. Sometimes it's not so obvious, but we all have good products these days. We all have good services, but it's about how people come together that defines how organizations succeed and sustainably succeed. And also, there's a lot of pain in this, in people's inability to actually stand that aspect. We are all in relationship. First of all, relationship with ourselves, but then relationship with others, be it one person, be it a small team, or be it an entire organization. And there comes a lot of challenges that we naturally sometimes don't see the solution to. And as a coach, I made it my mission to help relationships in that sense.
Great, that's really amazing, and what you're saying is really important because, in actual fact, from my point, I also try and advocate for employees because, like you, I also worked in the corporate for a very long time, and I do understand the ins and outs of corporate world and how it must be difficult. Here in Egypt, it's no different than in Germany or in Dubai. It's still, capitalistically run by top management, and ever since the COVID that finished and we're in the post-COVID era, I thought I was a bit naive, but I thought that companies and corporates all over the world would start to understand the mental health aspects of their employees, because what are you saying also means that employees need to be mentally well, able to operate efficiently, effectively, because at the end of the day, if the employee is not happy in terms of healthy and physically healthy, he will never produce and never be effective. Many companies in Egypt here still fail to realize it's easier for them to lay off 1,000 people and get 2,000 people with half the price, of the 1,000 people. It's so simple because we have a big population here in Egypt, and of course, with big population comes big unemployment rate and inflation and so on. What I want to ask you also, your story, definitely something happened in your past that you took yourself on this journey. So if you don't mind, kindly share why you started to go on to that area. Because for me, I mean, I suffered a lot mentally, and I said I need to help people who need help, like no one helped me. So that's basically how I start my journey.
Oh, you catch me off guard with this, but I'm happy to share it, because indeed I have two of these turning points actually I can think of. And the first one was towards the end of my first career, when I was working still in the hospitality industry. We were very successful at the time as a business, and then we had a change in a team, and somebody joined that kind of had a different mindset, and kind of was intersecting a very well-functioning team at the time, and kind of impacting it, breaking it within a very short period of time. And the company at the time was not really very skillful. My boss neither, to be truth to be said, to actually see that and take the right steps. I did nothing about coaching, or knew nothing about coaching at that time, really, or what to do and how to do it. I was just at the receiving end, in the center of a conflict, and it broke my spirit at the time. Actually, what I see to be a success factor was really working well before, broke in a very short period of time, just purely out of unskillfulness of an organization to listen and to provide the right kind of support, because surely I did not know how to handle it at the time. So long story short, I ended up changing my career. Not saying that was the only reason that I did that, but it kind of shifted something in my mind. And it's a shame, because I love my job. I love the industry. I had a great first 15 years of my professional life with a lot of success. And maybe if that was a different approach at the time, I would still be there and in the same business and the same industry. Yeah, by the way, one of the industries that's suffering a lot right now is hospitality. Not many people want to work there, want to have careers there, for several reasons. And I think the way the human side is addressed is a success factor here.
Yes, I really can relate to your story. But I always believe that our journeys are impacted by our decisions. They might be not correct sometimes, but in hindsight, when we look at it, I think if I go back, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, I would still take the same steps. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a driving force for me, maybe it's a driving force for you, but it's really important, because I think coming out of an experience like yourself, it teaches you a lot of things. I always tell people when I meet them, because in Egypt, people view failure as something really awful, really bad, and you should never fail in your life. And everyone I meet, I tell them you have to fail, because if you don't fail, then you won't learn, and if you don't learn, then you'll not grow, and you'll be on a fixed mindset forever and ever and ever. If it's easy for you to succeed, and always I tell them, always, if you look at the people who are successful and you want to be like them, trust me, they weren't born successful. They were born normal like us, but they worked hard and hard and hard, failed and failed and failed, and succeeded. So thank you so much for your story. I just wanted to ask you, how do you help and guide organization? I'm really interested in how you do that. Do they come up and ask you for support, or how's the process you do? I'm really, because I don't think in Egypt we have that kind of coaching theory.
Mhm.
Maybe we do. I don't know. Myself, I'm a mindfulness coach, so I'm more of a spiritual guy. They come for the meditation, but tell me, Anis, how it goes from your side.
Well, having said that, I consider myself very spiritual too. And
Okay.
I actually bring this into my work, even in organizations. But obviously, that's not the first conversation to have, because the corporate world still needs a long way before they put this on their flags as something they want to see in their organization. So it's something that comes in later and more in response to people's readiness, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah, that's for that part. To answer your question, how do I start working with a company? So often it is like that, a company has, it could be a team,
Okay.
or it could be an entire organization. I mean, I give you two examples. One is more a team in a bigger organization, which could be as small as that, and the other one could be an organization that in a holistic sense. So either way, usually there is some kind of a pain point in that organization, where either the people that are responsible for organizational development, HR, or management, leadership, struggle to find a sustainable solution with. And they usually seek conversation on how to address that. I mean, there are obviously many things that people try to do. They educate people through training. The more advanced, they provide maybe executive coaching for individuals, which, by the way, already has a huge impact, because it always starts with the individual. Even when you work with a team, with an organization, it boils down to every person. And it's never a waste to invest into providing this kind of support for the individual. But then when it comes to more systemic issues that you want to address, a system here is, for the ones that don't know what that means, meaning when you have an organization, obviously you have many things that come into play. It's different individuals, it's small teams, bigger teams, kind of people being part of multiple teams and an organization, which means that entire thing is what we call a system. And
I think
there's lots of mess.
I think you have to also manage the new generation with the old generation.
That's
The
true.
Gen Z with
Yeah.
with our generation, and maybe if there is someone older. I always find it very difficult to change a culture, even here in Egypt, um, because
Yeah.
human beings have a difficulty to accept change in so many ways.
That's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
There's lots of nested, what we call nested systems there, which means systems in the systems, but they all impact each other. So,
Okay.
and the generational aspect is also obviously something that comes a lot these days. We have right now XYZ in the workforce, and they're very different, and especially the older generation sometimes struggles a lot to understand and relate to the new one. Mind you, if you look at the last 10 years, the speed of change and the speed of development has multiplied in so many levels. I mean, before, what we've seen in 10 years in change and development, today you see 100 times or 1,000 times as much change in the last 10 years. So obviously for that generation that comes from that speed to interact with that generation that deals with that speed of change, and everything in between, there's so many issues. So yeah, I agree. That's also an aspect. But to round my explanation, so I will go in and talk to the person that kind of seeks a solution to understand what exactly the issues are. And then it often starts with things like we have silos, people don't work together, people don't have the right sense of ownership, there's no accountability in the teams, communication is not working, conflicts are not handled effectively. So many of these interpersonal issues come out, and there's kind of sometimes a paralysis what to do about it. People know they want to do something about it, but understanding what it takes and having the willingness to go into the fire. I call it sitting in the fire, because it means when you go and start this work, it means you have to confront emotion, which is something that is in corporate often something scary or even something frowned upon. Or yeah, and it comes back to what you said also about mental health. I mean, we see that emotions are inescapable on individual level as well as on a systemic level. Once a person understands that and goes is willing to do this work, then there's a lot you can do. You can work with individuals, with teams, and with entire organizations, and to help them address these issues that I just touched on through coaching, through systemic coaching, where you basically guide the different members of the systems in the process of acknowledging very human behaviors, and in a way educating them around the impact of their behavior and helping them to make conscious decision how they want to see this in the future, because ultimately every organization wants to see that an employee treats it as their own and brings their full heart in, and their full commitment, which is which requires people to be to focus and not getting stuck in ego and their own interests.
I totally agree with you. And I think emotional intelligence. We keep on hammering the word emotional intelligence and saying that you need to regulate your emotions, you need to understand your emotions, you need to practice empathy and all that. But it's still, I don't know if in Germany it's the same thing, but still here in Egypt, emotional or emotions as a whole is frowned upon, even in the house, even with your parents. I mean, I felt that, I still feel that the emotions that you shouldn't feel like that, you should be grateful, be I don't know whatever. But the problem is that people don't understand. Yes, emotions are good. Even I always tell the people, even the bad ones. We have in the methodologies I was taught in coaching. We have this interesting meditation. It's called Rasa Sadhana in Hindi, and Rasa Sadhana basically is a meditation where you imagine each and every emotion meets you like like an individual. Like Ines, I'm meeting Ines, so it was an honor, and I thank her. So we meet like anger, and we meet like disgust, and we meet them as persons, and accept them as individuals, and how good they are for us, even if they're the negative ones. Still people cannot, I mean, still I find difficulty to get, there are people here in Egypt that understand this, but on the whole, in terms of organizations, top management still just looks at the revenue, the growth, and the market share, and this is how everything goes. but they don't really see the individual. And this is what's my mission, and some of the other coaches here in Egypt, that we want companies, instead of spending a lot of money on medical health and medical cards, well, you can take that money and invest it in more mental health issues. Get coaches to come and talk to individuals, workshops. I also asked companies if they can dedicate an hour of free discussion, just sitting together and employees with managers, with top managers, and being vulnerable and talking very honestly and authentically about all the pains that they have, because at the end of the day, individuals are the ones who run the company, and it's not the company that runs the individuals.
Yeah, that's some very valid points that you mentioned there. And what you said is good. And what I'd like to add is, for people in an organization to be vulnerable, there needs to be psychological safety. And that brings us always back to having to start with the leadership of the organization, because they're the ones who have to build the foundation for this. If there is no trust, there is no vulnerability. If there is no vulnerability, there is no trust. I mean, it's a
like Simon Sinek says. I mean, I love Simon Sinek. I think is amazing, and I think what he says is acceptable and can be done. But I feel that a lot of people don't really take what he says seriously. Maybe here in Egypt, because I even once asked people a long time ago. I just had read The Infinite Game, so I love the book, and I love the way Simon describes how organizations, each one plays the different game. And I just ask a simple question: what kind of game does your organization play? No one seemed to really know how to understand or answer the question, because I think, I don't know, I think 90% of the organizations here in Egypt, they all play the finite game, and it's seen everywhere. Billboards, number one operator, the best in the world, the best. I mean, no statistics that really drive me nuts, because I don't know. I mean, the company I used to work with, which is called EN, it was called Salat. It was in the UAE. It's originally a UAE company. In Egypt, it kept on saying the best network, best coverage, best internet. Yeah, I know the statistics; these are numbers, but that doesn't mean you're the best. The best is the person who continues playing, regardless if he fails or not. He continues playing and outperforms other people.
Yeah, I mean, there are more companies out there that are still following the old ways. Let's face that. And the way I see that, I can look at this. It's like looking at world peace. If you look at what's happening in the world right now, it's pretty hopeless, and you think we're screwed. There's too much everywhere, wherever you look. I mean, don't even need to name one conflict. And if you look at that, you'll be hopeless, and it's not helping. So the way I see it, look at one at a time.
Yes.
Find the ones that get it and put all their energy in helping them to create a ripple, because once you transform one organization, news will travel, others will follow. It's like that. And I just would say the important thing here is to find the people and to work with the people that have some realization on that level and go with that. I mean, right now I think I read a statistic the other day, there's something around 200,000 coaches in the world. If you see, that's not, I mean, it's a lot, but it's not, and there's still a lot more to do everywhere, and it's the new, I would say, way of consulting, what consulting was in the 80s and 90s. I'm not saying consulting is no longer valid, but a consultant that doesn't coach, to be honest, I would question if that is effective these days, because it's not sustainable to bring in just new ideas and don't help the organization, to bring it down to the people in the way that it is lasting and sustaining.
Yeah, that's amazing, amazing. And I know you work in or part of your job is conflict resolution. I think we need more of you these days, not on the level of companies, but on the level of nations. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go too deep or too into politics, because I feel whatever is happening around the world. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a human being, so I really really feel and empathize with people who are suffering all around the world. But I don't know. Conflict resolution seems really, not valuable. I mean, people don't want the conflicts to be resolved. I don't think on a national level, on a world level, people like to see wars and see people suffer. I mean, it's amazing all around the world. The conflicts here in the Middle East, the conflicts in Europe, the conflicts in Africa, they all want to see people suffer. And it's amazing that people just leave people suffer. I mean, so from a human perspective, what do you think we should do as, as coaches around the world? I believe that we are ambassadors in each one's country, and we have to have the the ability to lead and to help others in leading this issue of resolving, human misunderstanding. So, what do you think? What do you think about the mission? I mean, to help people, because I remember you said one human for humanity, right? One human at a time. So
yeah, one relationship, one person at a time. Yeah, it's like how you eat an elephant, no? One bite at a time. That's what it is. And if you look at things at problems too big, then how do you find the energy to start? You have to start small, and in any aspect, doesn't matter if it's corporate or on a human on a world peace level. I mean, as I said, systemic coaching is about changes of systems, and that also includes topics like what you just touched on. And there are many coaches out there that work with that. And it goes very much into facilitation here, because there are big world work projects that deal with things like world peace and bringing kind of big conflicted parties on a table to actually have discussions and work on mindset changes on leadership level. There's actually, I read a very good book about this recently, maybe something you can look into. It's called Facilitating Breakthrough, from Adam Kahane. I don't know if you know it.
No. But I
it's about
on the list here.
It's actually about exactly that. You know, he talks about facilitating these kind of big processes, you know, and this is not just going in, doing some coaching sessions or facilitating some conversations of that sort. It's long processes, working with governments, working with policymakers, working with conflicted conflicted cultures. So he, for example, was one of the people that worked in South Africa when apartheid came down. So he helped them to get on the table and have conversation and create understanding for each other. And yeah, that's the kind of work where this goes. And I agree with you. There's many more of us needed that that can do things like that. I haven't yet on that scale, but it would be my absolute dream to get to that level.
Why I was asking that was again, not to go into whatever's happening next door in our region, but for me, the past few weeks, it's been difficult to to be positive, to help people when you really know, like next door there are people literally dying every few seconds, and on both sides, on both fronts. I mean, this is not something that anyone comes out of it a winner. I mean, I just heard that war doesn't come out. I mean, no one wins a war. Everyone loses. In actual fact, whoever has the upper hand, the lower hand, they all lose something. And I talk from perspective of human lives. I mean, people have still misunderstandings, bad perception, and I believe that our voices should be doing. I mean, this is the least we can do. I'm not saying that we're going to go and fight the fight, but the least we can do is help people look on a positive path, because I mean, I believe everyone needs to live a better life these days. So that's my my aspect. So tell me, when you started with your career, your journey, did you have anyone? Because I have this all the time, and I always ask people this. I have people who are always negative on my side, and keep on saying, don't take that journey and don't take that step towards them. It's not worth it. And did anyone say that and are still saying that, or what?
I have to say, when I initially started with my journey, my intention was not to become a coach. My initial motivation was self-work and self-development. And I followed that path for quite some time before my mindset shifted. And I said, no, this is now, I mean, I got to a point where I knew so much. I mean, I've done so many trainings. I joined so many things, courses, studies, years and years. So I got to a point where I felt strong to be able to help. It's like the desire to serve with this knowledge shifted when I reached a certain, I don't know if I should say confidence, or I felt credible in that sense. And I had in between, I'd done it in a very informal way and as part of my job. I mean, I didn't say that, but after I left hospitality, I shifted into organizational development and HR, which means I was in a company with 1,200 employees. There were everyday people coming to me with their issues. So my learning that started at the same time as this job started, I would say. So I had ample of opportunity to apply and the desire to make it my mission for the next phase, hopefully till the end of my life, grew organically. It wasn't that I did a course and decided with the intention to make it my full-time role. Yeah. So, and to be honest, everybody on the way always encouraged me. Everybody I was adding value to encouraged me to, why are you not giving this opportunity to have this level of conversation? Until now, to be honest, I have come across very little discouraging voices. I think the most critical maybe are my own family in a way, because
family plays an important role in discouraging. I don't know why.
It is, I feel like it's just lack of, how can I say, understanding, because there's that safety thinking of saying, when you're employed, you go to work from 9 to 5, and then you have your salary, and then you live, and everything is good. So many risks, and anyway, coaching is only something for rich people. It's nothing for the normal people, because it's a luxury and not a necessity. So that's the kind of voices that I hear sometimes.
Is that even in Germany it happens? I mean, I thought that was just Egyptian parents saying the same thing, because I've heard
no, it's not. I heard that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and
yeah, I have negative people, especially. I mean, like you said, they're not negative. They want, the stable and the 9 to 5 concept, but what they haven't realized is the concept that they believed in doesn't really exist in Egypt anymore, or in Germany. I mean, now if you're working in a company or in a bank, you have 3 months probation. If you don't perform in 3 months, you're out of a job. It's very simple, and it's by law. I mean, they're not doing something against the law. It's a contract you sign, and if by the end of the year you didn't get your KPIs or performance indicators or whatever, again, they can easily let you go and say goodbye. So I mean, the myth of a safety job with a 9 to 5 and medical, it doesn't exist anymore. I don't see it exist. I don't know. Does it exist in Germany? But for me, I don't see it exist here in Egypt.
Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't exist. It is, and I think for people that have that are professionals in their job in particular, and they have a value that they're adding, and they're good and they're okay in what they do, there will always be opportunities, so, but I think, I mean, in the German culture is very much, people don't change that much. They stick to a career, they stick to their companies, maybe 1, 2, 3 companies in their lifetimes, if at all. I mean, my father started his career in one company, and he retired in the same company. And that's not uncommon, but so for them, in your 40s, to stop that, to start fresh and to do something completely different, is crazy. It's not
It's crazy, but I always tell them, I always tell them, that I didn't put myself in this situation. It's not me. It's, I mean, I used to work in Salat, and then I left them out of my own willingness, and I went work for a small company. And the guy lived in New York City, and COVID came in, and after 2 months, he phoned me, told me, I have to lay you off. So I was placed into that situation, not by my own doing, but by whatever happened. I don't blame.
Circumstances.
I don't blame the circumstances, because at that time when I had it, yeah, it's difficult, of course, you know, to get laid off, of course, and you have kids and financial obligations. That's totally true. But I accepted it, and I told myself, for me, what can I do differently to change my skills to be able to find another job? That was my intention. Okay. Of course, it was never my intention to continue becoming a freelancer, a coach, someone with a podcast. Never was my intention, but you know, life changes on the way, and I take these obstacles and these challenges, and I do them. Till now, of course, my parents don't really understand why I do the podcast. My wife doesn't really understand it. You know, it's very difficult to explain. But it's something I love to do. It's something I love to meet. I meet lovely and interesting people like yourself. So, and I learn a lot of things that, you know, not any book can teach me. I learn from people, you know, with experience and so on. So this is how I take these issues. I mean, anyone who's you know, not negative but doesn't understand, I try and explain it, and if he or she doesn't really understand still, I just continue on to my journey.
I have a view on that, very short, and it's a bit bigger than that, but if I would bottom line it, it was at this point when I decided my life to not be transactional but connected, when that gave me that courage to make that step and leave the perception of safety and security somewhat behind me. And my sense of connections creates that trust in the possibility that this is something that can sustainably grow and to sustain me and my needs, I would say, because, and also that aspect of, if we want to give in life, we have to be okay. It's like that thing when you're sitting in the airplane and the oxygen mask falls, they always tell you put yourself first before you put to others. It's like that. The more okay you are, the more you can help others. So you believe in this mindset, I think you can find it in yourself to just go ahead. But it all comes back for me for the decision to not want my life to be transactional but connected.
So saying that, I want to ask you, do you get anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps, any of your employees or people that you work with, or anyone who's, you know, really inspired by you, so she or he wants to follow you? Did you get any of those people who want to follow you, and what advice would you give them?
I mean, it's that, okay, if you come to that point where you are committed to yourself, that you take full responsibility for yourself, for your life, then obviously the desire to grow in a different direction, above skill, above kind of the concept of information, but really to embody certain things. I have come across over and over again people, either in my roles that I had in a corporate world, as a leader, and also now as my clients, that are not just solving issues, they are on the path of self-actualization and purpose, and their awareness shifts. And when I sense that, I do offer them ways to go. I share openly what my journey was, what I liked, what I disliked, and I invite them to try. I mean, the first step is often resources, be it books or be it anything that can be consumed in different ways. And then, of course, to go down that path of mindfulness and having a more intentional and connected way of going about everything in your life. So there are so many ways you can go, and I never claim that I know the ultimate. I have a big bouquet, a big menu that I can lay out, and I happily do that for anyone that is interested. Okay. And that way, yes, I have seen a number of people that pursued one or the other direction in that way.
Okay, that's amazing, amazing. Usually, I always like to ask my guests this interesting question: what's one word or one phrase that describes you?
Well, something that came to mind. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the ultimate, but right now, be the change you want to see in the world.
Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, tell me one final question. What's your dream?
My dream?
Yeah.
My dream. Really, my dream is peace.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love your dream. I really think that it should be not just your dream, it should be the dream of humanity. I believe that we are all same in terms of human beings, and we all should, I mean, believe each other. I always say this. I mean, I changed my LinkedIn headline very recently. And I just added, "I am human being. I am a human being," because this is what I am. And I always say that I don't judge you. I cannot judge you because I am not in my religion. I am not God. I am a human being. I have my own faults. I'm not an angel that comes, and I wouldn't claim so. And I cannot judge you. And I believe in your beliefs. I believe in what you say and believe. And this is the first step towards peace. I believe to understand each other and to accept each other as we are, as human beings, as God's children all over the world.
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, it's like peace has so many. I mean, it starts with that inner peace, and that in itself, many people work on this their entire life. And if that's what the only thing you can achieve, you have achieved a lot.
Yes.
And then, of course, you can take it to peace in relationships, peace in the world. You can take it as small or as big as you want and you can contribute to peace in so many ways and in every day of your life. And it's a choice, and it's a commitment that you carry around with yourself. So, and of course, I am not a master. I wouldn't say that I live peacefully every day. I have my troubles, I have my triggers, I have my journey. And I will say this to everyone that I come across. If you look for perfection, then it's getting really difficult, but it's what you ultimately strive for that will guide your journey.
Amazing. Thank you for being such a wonderful human being with us today. I really am. I was very inspired by your words, very encouraged. You are such a positive energy, Ines. And I really am happy that I met you recently. I hope our connection becomes more fruitful, and we can in the future do more collaboration. You have a welcome invitation to Egypt. whenever you want to come, just come and visit Cairo and the pyramids and Khan el Khalili and all those lovely areas, and of course Aswan and yeah.
I can say to that, sorry to interrupt. I am in Egypt on a regular basis. I'm very close to Egypt. My husband is Egyptian. My family is in Egypt, so I have a very strong bond to Egypt.
Okay, so Egypt is your country. So whenever you come, just let us, I mean, connect, and it would be amazing. Thank you for your time, Anis.
Thank you for having me, Mo. It was a pleasure, and I equally enjoyed our conversation. And thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you everyone for today's episode. I hope it was as interesting as you heard, and I really learned a lot of things. God bless you, and be safe. And until next week, be mindful. Thank you.